It is gonna go ahead and be from Clan Druid's Kev, spawning at the bottom red location as the red Terran player. And on the top left hand side we have.
We have from Team TGG. His name is Masterz, or Purple Zerg. So it's going to be a TVC on Star Station. I kind of like this map for this matchup because it's quite open wide, but it also has its choke points. Positioning is just so important, as we saw in the Mech versus Bio matchup in TVT. But in TVZ, it's even more because this map really allows Zerg, which plays a lane heavy style, to get those good links arounds if he wants to.
Yep, I agree with that. And yeah, Star Station is a really big map. And in a TVZ, being cross positioned like this, it's gonna be very hard for the Terran to do anything if the Zerg creeps the map. So he has to get some units earlier on, prevent the creep spread, and be a little bit passive aggressive. Try to poke in, make sure he knows what's going on. And for the Zerg on the other hand, there's really two routes you can go. A massive Roach Hydra force with some blinding clouds later if he goes mech, or Muta.
Yeah.
Muta can be so effective on Star Station.
Yeah, of course it's a big open map, so Mutas will always be a good option. Looks like Kev is going to opt for a Reaper opening of his own. Well, I mean, technically he could still go for something like Hellions, but judging from the current meta, it might very well be Reapers.
Might very well be. We do see barracks with a refinery. Could it be? Could it be Reapers? What do you think?
Well, I think it will be. Anyway, about mech on this map, I think it's a good matchup for mech. You do have a good point from where you can defend with siege tanks. However, like you mentioned, Blinding Cloud is just so effective. I really enjoyed watching DSCL today because there was quite a bit of mech in TVC. Some games went really well for the Terran, some didn't. And it just depends on just how you control your army, what compositions do you go for. The days where you could just make a whole load of tanks like Lucifron, I mean not Lucifron, but yeah, it was actually Lucifron, the Terran player would make a whole lot of tanks and push across the map with them to hit the timing before Broodlords could get out. It just doesn't really work that way because Roach Hydra with Vipers is just so strong.
Yep, it is very strong, and it looks like this drone is being invited into the main base. He's not
Yeah,
accepting it though.
it's a trap.
He thinks it's a little bit tricky. Reaper does spawn. The drone will find out about that soon enough and get taken out by the Reaper. It's gonna be down to how will the Zerg respond to this. They're already doing a little bit of damage to the Reaper. But speed won't be done in time, obviously, so it will be up to the Queens to defend. The Queens are in production, but there might be a slight window where the Reaper can poke in and scout what's going on.
This is a very popular build right now, which is getting done by Zergs a lot, especially in tournaments, where they will go for, of course, a standard 15 hatch, 14 pool, then add on a quick gas and just get that speedling upgrade out as soon as possible. Then pull their drones out and just get a couple links out either for defensive purposes, or make like a whole bunch of them, like 16, and just hit the natural of the Terran and punish any greed. Such as an early command center as we see now, because generally the timing will hit before any Hellions are on the map.
Yep, the timing will hit before Hellions are on the map. We do see a reactor and a factory being added though. Two Reapers, getting a good indication of what's going on, so he knows he can do this. He
Yeah,
knows exactly what's going on in the Zerg base, nothing too crazy. And yeah, this Queen is defending nicely, but the Queen won't regenerate as fast like the Marauders last game, so he can poke in later and try to finish her
yeah,
off. Also the Link's taking some damage.
yeah. Reapers holding their own. Of course, Masters without speed is not going to give chase to these. That would just be suicidal. And instead, he's going to opt for an early Roach War. And this, of course, has not been spotted yet by Kev. We had a bit of a pause. Maybe these games were probably infested with all sorts of lag problems. But yeah, looking at Kev's composition, he's going to have a hard time dealing with these roaches. He's going to have to make Widow Mines or Marauders, and not just Hellions and Reapers, because those will just straight up die to a roach bust like we are going to see right now.
It is going to take them quite a while to get there though, over Star Station. It is quite a large map, especially in split positions. The response so far from our player from Druid's Esport is making another command center.
Yeah,
However, incredibly effective in getting minerals. Not that good against roaches. We are going to see a lot of roaches being pushed over the map. Speed not done yet. You would expect this to be followed up by speed link. Not gonna happen. We'll get some free hits on these Hellions though. Kev knows exactly what's going on, and he's making a good response, a Y-man response, getting 2 Widow Mines.
Getting to eBase is something you could say. Such a greedy opening here from Kev, going for that Reaper into Hellions and then triple orbital command, which is, he's just gonna have to retreat to the high ground, throw up a bunker, throw Marauders in there, add on, Widow Mines, but maybe it might be too little, too late. I don't think so though, because the distance for the roaches have to cross is just so huge.
So huge indeed, and this supply depot does not stand a chance against the roaches. Neither will this orbital command. Has to be lifted off. 2 Widow Mines in a good position. Both bam,
nice
bam,
hits.
taking down 2 roaches.
I was going to be afraid that he would actually just send in 1 Ling at a time to bait the shots, but just changes the entire rush. And as you can see, he's pulled back. There's already a bunker. To my surprise, Kev didn't pull any SCVs yet to repair, which is absolutely something you have to do against a roach bust.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a clunched up ramp. It's a very small ramp. There are also Widow Mines on, and they are going to be recharged as well. There's going to be 4 Widow Mines. I think Kev's going to hold here. Not too much problems, actually.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be any detection.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's just managed to sort of lock in Masterz in his natural, and Masterz is going to be forced to sacrifice sacrifice links to bait out these Widow Mine hits, and now he's going to be able to exit, but... A cute little mover from Kev.
Yep, the Roach Extermination Squad called Kev from Druids. Doing a good job there, getting a bunker on the low ground, being a little bit less greedy right now, but already has 3 bases against the 3 bases of his Zerg opponent. That's always a good position to be in. And if we check the vision from Masterz, he has no idea about that 3rd base, Whiteman.
Yep, he doesn't, and I thought it was quite a cute move here by Kev to opt to throw that down so quickly while his natural was still being besieged. Either way, we do get +1/+1 here for Kev. He's adding on more racks, quite a few actually, another starport finally. This is starting to look like a very standard 2-2 timing, which you will probably hit with Bio Widow Mine. Meanwhile, his opponent Masterz is going to go for Mutas, to be more specific, probably Baneling Muta, even though I don't see a Baneling nest quite yet. But the economy difference is telling. If you look at the income tab, we see almost 400 minerals up here for Kev, with so much more income, even though his harvester count is obviously lower.
Yep, indeed, and he does get a decent scout off with the Overseer, though there are some Hellions and Reapers poking in. Might be able to kill this Queen. Yep, is able to. Prevents a little bit of the creep spread. The Roaches are really useful against these kind of compositions, though. Take down all of the Hellions, actually.
Yeah, Kev losing his Hellions, not something you really want to do too much, because you need to kind of be able to see what your opponent is doing. For Masterz, that is of course quite obvious. He's stuck on 55 drones and has started his link production, but he has resumed his drone production, is now adding on a Baneling nest. So we're going to head it into a very standard, up-to-date TVZ metagame, where the Terran, who is currently quite supply blocked, I have to add, is going to go for that Bio Widow Mine with medevac composition to try and hit a 2-2 timing against the Zerg, who is playing a Ling Baneling Muta style.
Yep, and Widow Mines are going to be really good against that style. Not the best against Banelings when they have speed and they explode on top of the Widow Mines, but they can take off huge clumps of Banelings and Zerglings quite easily. We also have some Mutas in production, 8 to be exact, and they could prove to be a little bit problematic for Kev to handle right now. If we check the natural expansion, you see a Changeling is looking just how that SCV is mining and is being very impressed by that. But no missile turrets, and the missile turrets going down in the main base, however, right now, and Changeling also spots that.
I'm pretty sure, let me just check his vision, because he scanned the Spire, so he knows Mutas are going to be on the way. So he is scanning those turrets, just to be sure. I like the fact that he's adding on a few Hellbats. Nothing too crazy, but a few Hellbats are going to be a massive help against, a high link count.
Yep, indeed, and the missile turrets are established in the natural as well. He must have gotten a notice that there is a Spire on the way. Did he scan it or something?
Yeah,
he did. He scanned it. So that's a good response from Kev right there. By the way, I love the guys in the chat. I see a lot of the names coming back every week. Thank you so much for that. For example, Dragonaut, one of the guys that I always see in the chat channel being so active. Let us guys know what you think about the games. And really cool that you're supporting the Dutch esports. The Mutas are roaming across the right side of the map. One of the things that Masterz has always got is that Selnaga tower there, which I'm surprised he still has vision of.
Yeah.
And it also looks like Kev wants to move out a little bit, be aggressive. Not the best decision with the Mutas coming in. They will be able to pick off this missile turret. If it doesn't get repaired, it doesn't get repaired. And these SCVs are going to have a really hard time doing their job right now.
Yeah, this is not too fun of a work experience here for these SCVs. But it doesn't seem like Kev cares a whole lot. Moving forward, Hellbat's surging on these minerals. Oh my god, so much hits. Widowmine's getting killed by the Banelings actually. It looks like Kev is going to win this engagement. Because of the way Masterz engaged, he just went into a straight line rather than try to get a good surround on his opponent's army. But I think the Mutas and the next wave of circlings are just going to clean this up, no problem.
Yep, should be able to clean this up, and the 4 base is
oh, wow.
under a slight assault.
Okay, there we go.
Loses a lot of Mutalisks in the process though, but will clean this up eventually.
Yeah, so Kev did manage to hit his 2-2 timing nicely, wiping out the entire army of Masterz to save a few Mutas, who is, I feel, still behind economically, even though he's ahead in workers. Importantly, though, for Kev, is that he needs to take another base soon in order to be able to keep up. The Zerg has a 4th, he is mining from it. Kev's SCV count is not that impressive, and it looks like he's just going to gear up for another move out.
Yep, it looks like it, and that's gonna be really, really hard for him to deal with. Though these Mutas are actually taking a lot of damage right now. Most of them getting taken out, and in a really bad position for Masterz to have that.
Yeah, looking at the supply, we see that he has 86 drones. Of course, you want to have the production going, but I really think that he's kind of over making drones at this point. He needs an army to enable to hold this force of Kev. Even perhaps he's just saying, "Oh, I'm not that impressed by your army. I'm just gonna, build up a heavier economy, tech forward." He's added on a an infestation pit. He's getting pathogen glands to produce infestors, and he does have a hive. So Kev is really allowing him to, to build up. Whereas when you play Bio Widowmine, you kind of want to stay on the aggressive end. Throw down a path with Widowmines. And well, here we go.
Oh, huge surround by Masterz, but this is a lot of units to engage from Kev though. He does manage to clean it up, and that went surprisingly well from Masterz to be honest.
Yeah, kind of a sloppy move here by Kev. Not having a lot of Widowmines there in place to do anything. Clumping up his bio, which, against Link Bailing Muta is something you don't want to do. You want to split so your opponent doesn't get too good hits off with the Bailings. And this drop, not going to do too much damage, I'm afraid.
Yep, indeed, gets cleaned up quite easily. And 2 more medevacs are moving across the map, but the creep will reveal that. And I don't think Kev knew he had a base there, but now he does. And the links are already underneath. Not gonna do the best drop right there with that. The Mutas tried to clean it up, but it's only 6 Mutas left, and they won't be able to kill this amount of Marines. They're gonna make a stand, but they won't be the 300 you saw in the movie. These guys will go down.
Well, they do have quite nice upgrades though, so they're doing quite a bit of damage. They might actually exterminate the last of these Mutas, but no, another wave of links pours in. But if we look at the last tab, we see that the Terran so far has been significantly more cost effective, and has managed to land his 4th command center. So at this point, no, he's actually landing his 5th at the same point. So
4th and 5th following up that greedy play at the beginning of the game. However, the 4th is under assault by some Zerglings. Will get cleaned up, however, by the Bioforces.
Oh, it's actually on fire. He needs to repair that. Okay, he is going to. Maybe want to throw down a bunker or a bunch of turrets, even though it is a planetary fortress. And now we have Ultralisks on the map here from Masterz, who is actually going to gear up for an engagement right at this planetary. Oh, we need a split here, Kev.
These Ultras are going to have a good day against this Bioforce. However, Kev does manage to pull them back a little bit. Some Bailings morphing in. Don't think that's in time though. These Ultras are doing some damage, but really good splits by Kev right now.
Yeah, I love the micro here by Kev, going back against these Banelings. And now the planetary will actually be able to hold its own against this Ultralisk force. Keep in mind that Marauders were already on the field with 3-3 upgrades. So they are so effective against Ultralisks. Just look at it. Boom.
Yeah, so good against these Ultras, and I thought it was going to go a lot worse for Kev in that position, calling all the wrong shots between these 2 so far, but that is amazing because it makes for a better game. You see some Zerglings gonna try to poke in there, but I wouldn't advise those guys to do that. There's a lot of units reinforcing from the middle of the map. There are some Banelings being morphed, and I think that's what he needs. He needs a few more Banelings to really get those good hits on the Marines and Marauders.
Yeah, those Marines in that battle were allowed to do a lot of damage. Maybe it was because of the positioning. I think some of the Banelings were actually caught behind the Lynx and the Ultralisks. Of course, keep in mind that Ultralisks, you need a bit of a critical mass to make them as effective as they were, because they don't do splash damage. And we have a big drop here in the top of the map. Maybe even gonna focus on his hatchery if he gets enough time.
Yep, that drop did a lot of damage, killed a lot of drones as well. No spines, no spores in that base, so these guys are gonna load in once again, try to drop. There are some infestors, but infestors are a lot less scary in HUDs than they were in wings because of the way they changed fungal growth. It is gonna do a lot of damage on these units. So.
He actually takes out two of the infestors, which is actually a very cost-efficient trade for him to make. Yeah, Kev being ahead in supply, actually adding on +2 attack on his mechanical units, even though he doesn't have any tanks on the field. And he needs to beware for an air transition from the Zerg, as he is getting his Greater Spire and might end up going into Broodlord, Infestor.
Yep, infestors are still really good against big clumps of bio units, especially in a stationed fight, where you can just target the units you want and it will hit. It does as much damage as it did before, I think. It's just the fact that it's a projectile. It also has more range, right?
Well, actually, Masterz here just taking out this planetary because he doesn't want, just wants to deny his opponent that income. But Kev is actually getting the same idea. He's just going to stim and run in and take out this expansion on the left side. So both players, in terms of bases, have been reset to the same number they had before.
Yeah, big hits being taken by both guys right here, losing a base, trading blow after blow. And Medevac's gonna move into the main base of Masterz, it looks like.
Yeah, and he can't prevent it with Fungal Ghost, but he does have already a sizable link force underneath it. But the drop does get placed rather strategically behind these hatcheries, and he's taking a good engagement. Meanwhile, fighting at the main, at the third base, the force of Kev here isn't, large enough, and these Autolists do manage to have a significant amount and just, kind of waltz over this bio force. But even the top base is getting harassed by Kev, taking out this hatchery too.
Yep, main base, third base, everywhere. You can't imagine a base that's not under attack right now. Well, we can because it's this base, but the drones right there are going to be under assault after this because everything's being taken down by Kev. Great multi-pronged attack from every side of the map. These Others are going to maybe clean that up, but I think the damage has been done, Wyman.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think is it GG? I think it is, right?
I think it is.